Yeah. Shit used to be awesome. It was the Wild West.
Back in the before times when you could reformat your C drive and nobody would bat an eye. And now it's like it won't even let you. Okay, I was playing Hacknet. It's a video game where you essentially just type and it uses real command line keywords.
Oh.
When you delete something, you're like DEL. And so you're like,
Sure.
Or you can do RM and you can use the asterisk. It deletes the whole folder. Anyway, it's really neat because the whole conceit of the game is that you're playing on a virtual machine. Like you're using your actual computer in the real world to log into a virtual machine where you do all your hacky stuff.
All right.
So that machine gets like blue screened at certain points in the game and stuff like that. And there's at one point, somebody hacks your system and it does a hard reboot and you can't access anything. You're locked out of your own computer. Wow. And your hacker friend, your buddy who's on the same team as you, logs into your virtual machine and starts typing you through the console and is like, hey, you got to reboot your virtual machine. Just, you got to close the program and then I'm going to write you an instruction thing that you got to follow and then you'll be good. And then he just leaves and she's like, okay, so you close the game. And as you close the game, a notepad document has been opened up.
Yeah.
The Windows console, the actual command prompt has been opened up and set to the directory of the video game. And then you follow the list and you just got to go into the game directory and basically delete a DLL.
Wow.
And it guides you through it step by step. So it feels really cool and it feels real and it's very immersive.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't fucking delete the file because Windows is holding my hand this whole time and says, you don't have permission to do this.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it's like, I bought you. You're my thing. Not like I'm not working for you. And it's just a fun like video game thing that we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, what's your problem?
You have to pull out the whole administrative right click.
Yeah, exactly.
Force delete it. And it's like, dude, I can see why in the next version of Windows, they're taking a lot of that control stuff away. Because just even that situation that you described is probably really, really goddamn confusing for somebody that has no idea what they're doing with computers. They just want them to work all the time.
It's like when computers first were invented, anybody who wanted one had to know what they were talking about.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Like you had to want to learn and be passionate about it to get it. And now that it's computers are basically required to live your everyday life, they need to strip away any kind of difficulty or else, people are stupid. I'm sure you know that working in IT.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure a lot of our listener base doesn't actually know this, but you had to get a manual, like a book on how to type things into your MS-DOS prompt. So you were taking lines of logic from this physical paper book and typing it into a command prompt. It's very analog.
It was like having a blindfold on your tablet and trying to open YouTube. It's just
yeah, exactly.
It was difficult.
It's a whole new world. It used to be the Wild West, and there are pros and cons to that. A big shout out to Spencer Feuerstein hitting our notes here. Playing the music over top. You're a super badass for hitting our highest tier of Patreon.
I don't know. Do we just go into the welcome or do we do last time?
We don't really have a format because this is somewhat of a new thing.
With the Patreon, yeah.
So, last time on Arcade's Dragon Ball Z, we talked to, not Spencer, Eric. We talked to Eric. It's only Eric. But I'm breaking my voice. We talked to Eric. And he still doesn't like the show. He kind of does, but he's getting there. There are moments where he enjoys it. And that's what we did last time. And now we're moving into the new saga, this time on Arcade's Dragon Ball Z. I'm not throwing my voice out quite yet.
It was so good, but we do have like an hour still to talk, so you might want to keep that bad boy in check.
Working on it.
Welcome to Arcade's Dragon Ball Z. I'm Spencer.
And I'm John.
And today we're going to be talking about episodes 166 through 170 of Dragon Ball Z. Wait, you just want to get started?
Well, this is the new saga?
Yeah, these are the first few episodes of the Cell Game saga. On a technical level, we are season 6 of 9.
We are getting there.
We're getting there, dude. We're more than halfway done.
Yeah, I was going to say, that passed a while ago. The midpoint was episode 145. We're 21 episodes past that now.
That's crazy.
Or I guess 26, but yeah.
All we got to do is everything we've ever done again.
Hopefully not what we did last time, because that was the worst episode we've ever done.
Better quality, the same amount of content.
Better quality, better content. Wait, that's a...
I know.
That's
what
a
is
thing,
what
isn't
is it? Yeah,
I don't know. I know it's a marketing thing.
it's like a slogan for a restaurant.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, you know what? Marketing team, you could have done a better fucking job because we don't remember who it is.
We need to steal something better.
Can you summarize your feelings on these 5 episodes in one sentence?
I can do it in one word.
Oh, yeah.
So fine.
Yeah, I got 2 words. Mixed bag. So I've got some things to say about the last episode.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Probably not what you're expecting, but the actual Dragon Ball Z episodes, the first 4, they fluctuated between like a 6 and a 7 for me. So just a little above fine. There were high and low points.
Yeah, I laughed a couple times, but there was nothing that I was like, I was glued to the screen. But I think that's kind of the point. Like, we've reached the beginning of a next saga, which while our big bad Cell is still out there on the prowl, our heroes stopped caring. So
yeah, they did.
They're kind of just relaxing while this guy, because he doesn't like Cell kind of stops, but he still does a fair amount of genocide. You don't actually see like the blood and the dead bodies, but you can infer that there are bad things happening.
It's a moderate genocide.
Yeah, and that's sort of like, keep it below a certain threshold, and
nobody
doesn't care. Yeah,
it's fine.
Anyway, we'll get right into it. Episode 166. The Japanese title is "A Final Battle Closes In on Goku: The Mystery of the New Tenkaichi Tournament." The American title is "What is the Tournament?"
Oh my god, that is such a perfect title. I think it was maybe Funimation didn't even know what was happening, so they're like, "What is the tournament?" Okay, that's the title. My title is "The Z Fighters in Days of Future Ass."
You worked hard on that title. That seems like a little bit of extra elbow grease was put into that one.
Well, I thought Days of Future Past because of what happens in it. And then I realized ass was way funnier. And so I did have to Google. Turns out it's X-Men. And so I'm like, okay, X-Men, Z Fighters. So yes, you're right. There was more than usual.
That's a little bit of effort. I like it. It's good. This episode starts with the characters expressing the feelings that we as an audience have about how ridiculous and weird Cell starting a tournament is.
It starts off exactly where we left off, with Trunks alone on the island, screaming and blasting, and Vegeta and Krillin arrive, and they do that. They're like,
what's going on? Trunks is very upset because obviously he couldn't kill Cell. There's a really cool shot of him depower. Like, okay, he's normal Trunks. He gets angry. When he gets angry, he turns Super Saiyan.
Yep.
Krillin and Vegeta arrive, and he depowers. And it's the coolest depower I think I've ever seen in the show.
Yeah, it's
where like
long hair.
Yeah, it is. And it doesn't like flash to white. There's no sound effects. He just like slowly comes out of Super Saiyan, and his bright golden locks turn purple again as they fall around his face. It's really cool looking and really well animated.
I think their animation quality in general, like their midpoint, their standard, has moved up a couple pegs. Because I've noticed even just the little scenes in the future, in one of these other episodes, Goku puts on his gi again. And just him putting on his gi has in-between frames that in prior sagas or arcs, they would not be there. So I think they've moved the bar for themselves.
Yeah, which is it's really good.
I think we cut to Kami Tower.
For like a second. Yeah, like everybody is sort of upset because obviously Cell's not defeated and he got away, all that stuff. Baby Trunks is crying. This is the first time that we hear any kind of inkling about Piccolo wanting to enter the hyperbolic time chamber to train.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting, especially because he was stronger than the Saiyans were before they went in. Right?
Yeah, which calls into question a couple things in later on in the episodes, but whatever.
Oh my God.
At one point, Piccolo was the strongest being in the universe, and that was maybe 2 days ago. He considers entering the time chamber because Trunks obviously wasn't powerful enough, and we got to do something. Yeah. It cuts back to Krillin and Trunks and Vegeta, and they're kind of like, sorry, did you say a tournament?
And Trunks is like, yeah, I guess. Like, I tried to tell him, hey, give us more time and we'll beat you. And then he just came up with this tournament thing, and that's what we're doing, I guess.
Super weird. Doesn't make any sense. Krillin does say nobody can beat Cell, so it won't really be much of a tournament. Also, everybody's only fighting Cell, so why is it called a tournament?
Yeah, which we'll get to in the next episode when Cell explains the rules. I don't know if that's the next one or the third one.
I think it might be the next. Anyway, Android 16 pops out of nowhere, still almost dead, and asks to fight alongside everybody against Cell in the tournament. Krillin is incredulous as he's still alive, and Trunks is racist against androids. I think that's kind of what it comes down to.
Yes,
which,
this.
Well deserved, but also Android 16 wasn't in his timeline. And I like this scene because Krillin acts the way he should have acted when he was being super creepy Krillin. Basically, Trunks says, no, why should we trust Android 16? He's an android. All androids suck. Krillin says, he is an android, but he's also a living being. Yeah. And things don't have to go the way that they did in your timeline. Like, we can try to be the good guys and trust him and like recruit him and just try to be better, basically. And it's perfect. It's exactly what he should have said a couple episodes ago. And I'm kind of infuriated, but I'm also glad that they remembered who Krillin was, because that is like the epitome of Krillin's character for me.
It is. These episodes, if nothing else, are a really well done palate cleanser for Krillin's character.
Yeah.
If nothing else.
Yeah. And a reestablishment that Vegeta's always going to be a dick.
Like, we needed a reestablishment, but yeah.
It cuts to the hyperbolic time chamber where Gohan and Goku are still training. I like this scene a lot because it's a like super intense fight scene between these two. Even though, there's no danger. They do some really cool stuff with the cinematography.
Yes.
They're popping and blipping all around like Dragon Ball Z fighters do. And they disappear one time and the camera kind of tries to find them. Like there's an actual cameraman there trying to figure out where they went. And so it just kind of looks around and it's really neat. It's a really good little fight scene between those two.
And just to set the scene, they're apparently fighting on a sun. Like there's fire everywhere.
It just got real hot in the hyperbolic time chamber.
Like hot enough that fire is spontaneously appearing everywhere.
I still don't understand if it actually exists or if it's just like a visual metaphor
for the intensity,
the changes in the environment, like the intensity of what we're seeing. I have no idea if they're trying to be artsy or if they really just think, I don't know, sometimes there's fire here.
I don't know either, especially considering all the other characters fighting when we do see them in the hyperbolic time chamber. Nothing like this happens.
Yeah, there's the one thing with Vegeta, but again, it's Trunks' flashback where he's like, we're not sure if it's like his spin on it or whatever. Anyway.
There are a couple of cuts where Goku and Gohan are flying through it and their trail, their slipstream or whatever, has the fire kind of spiral around it.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even catch that.
It's the best moment of the entire episode is this one.
They stop training and it shows, I think maybe for the first time, the ceiling of the inside of the hyperbolic time chamber where there's just like a giant clock hand that ticks. I don't know what the purpose is, but I thought it was really cool.
It's creepy.
It is really weird. Goku puts Gohan to bed. They're all worn out. And,
good dad Goku moments.
Good dad Goku moments all over this place. They have a nice little bonding moment where they talk about just like Gohan does his shtick of I screwed up. I'm not doing good. And Goku's like, you're doing fine. Just hang in there. We're going to do this together. It's really neat. We cut to Capsule Corp in maybe my favorite Dr. Briefs moment of all time. Vegeta and Trunks arrive at Capsule Corp, and then Krillin is not far behind them with Android 16 in tow.
Yeah, it's funny seeing Krillin carry Android 16 because
they're so
tallest.
Yeah, they're so different in size.
Yes, it's fantastic.
It's ridiculous. And Mrs. Briefs is there. She's watering plants. She's like, hey, how's it going, everybody? And then Dr. Briefs pulls up just randomly on a bicycle. It's not a hover bike. It's not a motorcycle. It's not a spaceship. It's just a bike. Like he's just getting the cardio in.
Yeah.
It's really great.
And then almost immediately after, the tertiary gang appears.
Yeah, everybody's going to Capsule Corp for some reason.
Yeah, Master Roshi, Chi-Chi, Tall Krillin, Puar.
Oolong's there.
Oolong and Tien's weird puppet child. They're all there. They're going back and forth talking about the tournament that's going to be happening. And Yamcha stands up and has a fist in the air. And he's like, yeah, I love the idea of a martial arts tournament. I think I'll dominate. And I had to pause the episode. I laughed so fucking hard that it's Yamcha saying this dumb shit.
I guess like in past world martial arts tournaments, maybe he's done okay.
He hasn't. That's the thing. He fucking sucks. So I don't know why he's like, oh, this is my time to shine. Like, no, shut up.
We'll also come back to that in a little bit. Dr. Briefs begins to fix Android 16, which I also love.
Yes.
I just love competent people doing competent things. It's great. They have lunch at Capsule Corp. and Roshi decides to tell everybody about the world's martial arts tournament. So apparently there hasn't been one in years, but there were 3 during Dragon Ball, during the run of the show Dragon Ball. 21st, 22nd, 23rd. He kind of goes through all those really quick. 21st, Goku lost to this character called
Jackie Chun,
which was Master Roshi in disguise. 22nd, he lost to Tien, but it was a tie.
It was a tie, yeah.
Between Goku and Tien. And then the 23rd, it was Goku versus Piccolo. And their battle was so chaotic and destructive that even though Goku won, they decided to stop having martial arts tournaments.
Yes, which is kind of hilarious.
Yeah, I thought it was very funny that Goku and Piccolo ruined the tournaments for everybody.
For everybody.
In the process of telling this story, Master Roshi's reciting all this. It goes from him talking to whoever we said before, Yamcha, Puar, the whole gang. It cuts back after the Piccolo and Goku fight to the same room, and only Dr. Briefs is there, sipping some tea, and he's like, "Well, a very interesting story. Might make a good movie." And then it just cuts.
Everybody else got bored, and they're all out on the balcony of Capsule Corp staring at the sunset, just talking the future.
And Trunks is there with them, obviously, and Vegeta's there. They offer some insight into why this might be happening, and I don't feel like that the show ever comes down to a specific answer that is fully satisfying.
No.
It's interesting to me and confusing. Confusing on the hand of they just wanted to do this, so they just did it and they tried to find. But I kind of like the aspect that Cell, the big bad, like in universe, this is happening, right? It's not a plot decision. It's a character decision. Cell decided to do this for some reason. And I think the interesting thing is, as of this point and as of these 5 episodes, we just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
His decision could be influenced by a number of reasons. And throughout these 4 episodes, characters will guess why, but there's never a solid answer. And I think that's kind of cool because Cell's the villain. It was his decision, and we never see that part of his like mind, you know? It's always kept kind of secret. So
that's a really interesting perspective on it, because mine was definitely the first one. Like, they wanted to do it and they don't really care about telling the audience. But
for sure, it's reaching to support something I love.
Yeah,
but the
like
normal
lot,
audience member in me is like, yeah, they just did this to have an excuse to get one-on-one fights with everybody. But I think there's interesting in-universe explanations. Anyway, they kind of come to the conclusion that Cell was built, androids are built to spread chaos and fear. Like, they enjoy that. They derive some kind of pleasure from it because Dr. Gero is a fucking madman. So that's what it is. Like, it's just a way to scare people over a long period of time instead of just destroying them at a snap of a finger.
Because everyone's going to be watching this on TV. So
yeah, like it's the fight for Earth, right? It's the biggest event of all time. Cell's obviously got a little bit of an ego to him.
Little bit,
because of who he's built out of. Yeah, like it kind of makes sense if you start to put the pieces together that they would want to. They're the most powerful being on the planet. Why wouldn't they want to wallow in that success for a while? So
right, yeah. I like that a lot. I like it a lot better than just they wanted it.
I know, yeah. Chi-Chi points out that she's kind of excited about this because if Cell holds a tournament, there's got to be rules, and he's got to follow those rules, which means killing won't be allowed, probably. My only thing with this is Cell's the most powerful being on the planet. He decides the rules. So there's no guarantee of anything. And I don't know why they're excited about this.
It almost makes sense coming from Chi-Chi because her worldview and mindset is very, I am Gohan's mom, like 100%. And so I can see where she comes up with this. But her idea that there will be rules puts the seed in everyone else's head that there's hope, that Cell isn't going to be a giant douchebag. It goes immediately in afterwards to her being like, Gohan's not participating in this tournament. And I'm like, God damn it, we just got past this Chi-Chi, and she just reverts right back. All that character growth in the conversation. She's like, but she explains her reasoning. Goku and I had a conversation. We had an agreement. He can train Gohan. But we never talked about a tournament. Gohan is going immediately back into the books.
And there's a kind of interesting flashback to Gohan as a baby.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting.
It's like 15 seconds long, so I don't know why they did it, but you can tell it's like specifically animated for this.
Mm-hmm.
Chi-Chi's like, oh, Gohan shouldn't have to be a fighter because the world is safe now, so he's going to do a lot better as a scholar.
As a scholar, and this floors Goku, who essentially she bulldozes Goku's dreams and then says that that's the agreement then.
Yeah. We cut to Cell, and you can tell that it's a Cell scene because the music abruptly changes.
Mm-hmm. I know I've talked about this, how the music in Dragon Ball Z is just so like this thing, that thing, this thing, that thing, funny moment, serious moment, funny moment. These episodes, they just don't give a shit. And I think it's partially because Cell's theme is discordant and unnerving and awesome and badass. And there are so many scenes in these episodes of just hanging out, just chilling.
Yep. It's pretty abrupt, but it kind of works because our hero's attitude is very much relaxed in these episodes where Cell never gives up the fight. And he basically is flying around. He says, this is a great place for the tournament right here, this spot. And there's a farm there and happy little birds bathing in a nearby stream or whatever. He uses his powers to sculpt rock.
Yep.
I don't know. It's ridiculous and a little weird, but I kind of liked this scene. He's essentially using magic.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. But he takes rock like a mountain and he carves it into individual squares to lay a tiled floor and obliterates a farm just to have a nice flat spot to put his arena. And he constructs this like perfect square, very iconic to Dragon Ball Z.
It's interesting watching him be constructive instead of destructive.
Yeah, for sure. Like he has, I don't know. It's really weird. He takes his time. He makes it perfect. It's just this beautiful, nice little arena in the middle of nowhere. And he finishes it up and he's like, time to get the word out. He flies off and the episode ends. Episode 167, the Japanese title is 100% ratings. The Cell games call forth death with an exclusive live broadcast. The American title is The Doomsday Broadcast.
Is that the longest title that we've ever had?
It's pretty long.
Pretty damn long. My title is The Cell Games is performed in front of a live studio audience. Viewer discretion is ignored.
I really like that one. This episode opens with Dr. Brief's continuing work on 16. I really just like all of this. No specific lines, but there's just a lot of faux science, I'll say, flying around, which is very unusual for this show. And so I like that Dr. Briefs is getting some time to shine. Finally. He's really found his place in this world, and they're making use of the character.
Yeah. He's got a dinosaur.
Competent.
He's got a dinosaur in his house?
In the Capsule Corp house, there is a midsection that is a courtyard with waterfall and gardens and trees and a dinosaur stomping around. Anyway, so he's trying to figure out, like, okay, Android 16, we have the plans from 17 and 18. Maybe I can use those to figure out how 16 works. He goes through it and he's like, no, actually, 16 was built on an entirely different, like, philosophy, engineered with different materials for a different purpose. These are totally useless. And 16 kind of, I don't know if he wakes up or he just gets up. He's being scanned and things like that on a table. Dr. Briefs comes over to him and he's just like, yeah, dude, we're going to have to figure how you work one step at a time. And the cat that is a constant set piece of Dr. Briefs, Scratch, that just hangs out on his shoulder. 16 takes notice of it and kind of, gestures his hand over toward the cat. Cat likes him enough to hop on and jump on his shoulder and kind of licks his ear and stuff. And he just has a good time with Dr. Briefs' cat. I really like this scene. It's like,
I did too.
There's no dialogue or anything. It's just him playing with the cat, but it like shows so much about his character. And Dr. Briefs seeing this, I think, kind of solidifies, okay, yeah, we can help this guy.
Dr. Briefs does say, even though we can't help you with the plans we have, Bulma knows much more about this than I do, which I thought was really nice. So,
it's good. Giving credit to his daughter. We're bringing Bulma in this. She's going to use her science brain some more.
Yeah.
I like a lot of what's going on with Android 16.
Super endearing moment. And we cut to the gang, which is they're all eating foodstuffs and watching TV.
It's so weird to see like Ascended Saiyan Trunks with his shoes off, laying down on the floor in a bunch of pillows watching television.
Yeah.
There's something so strange about it, but I dig it.
I almost don't, because it means that he's becoming one with the shitty, boring side characters. Oh my God, the TV. Just the 1 second cuts of the random shit on TV is ridiculous.
It's great. It's so good. But they're looking for Cell because Cell basically said, stay tuned for more details on television for the tournament. I'm gonna announce everything.
Yeah.
Yamcha and Krillin are like, screw this. We need to get stronger now. We're gonna go train. Vegeta and Trunks are kind of opposing viewpoints. It's really interesting because Vegeta basically thinks he doesn't need anybody else. I can fight Cell. What happened last time was a fluke.
He tricked me. God damn it, Vegeta.
So they start fighting a little bit. Then Bulma rushes in and she's so excited to see Trunks alive.
Yeah.
Well,
it's weird, isn't it?
It's weird. I understand why this should happen, but the events that we've seen preceding this between Bulma and future Trunks don't equal this scene where she actually genuinely seems to care about him.
To be fair, Trunks thinks it's weird too.
Trunks does think it's like, weird.
I don't know why you're not really my mom. So
yeah,
time travel makes shit weird, I guess.
It's so weird. Anyway, she's holding baby Trunks while she's making sure that future Trunks got out of that fight okay. Baby Trunks grabs future Trunks' hair because it's very long now and won't get let go. And we have a fun little moment between them where he's pulling out his own hair, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Weird.
It also very time travel makes
time travel
weird.
Makes shit weird.
Yeah. It's at this point that I wrote down, it's kind of amazing that they're really nailing these cooldown episodes. Because I feel like they're nailing after a bunch of screaming, fighting Dragon Ball Z shit. They're really just taking their time. They're playing the do music, like the happy go lucky stuff.
I kind of love it. Like, it's kind of nice to see these characters just be able to be characters. There's one point later on where Goku confronts Cell, sort of spoiler, I guess, where he is Goku as we know him and love him in 1 second. And then as soon as he's facing against Cell, he becomes Goku the fighter.
Right.
And I love that there's this sort of like, I can be myself around my friends, but I have to don this other persona when I'm in a fight. And I think that we've had those other personas with Trunks, Vegeta, whatever, and we actually get to see the real characters now in these episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels good.
Then we cut to Cell. The point of the scene is he's going to make the announcement. So he breaks into the newscast building, and the way he does that is by blowing the entire side of the building except for the doors, which he then walks through.
The city leading up to the TV station as well. He's just flying through it, and the like sonic booms coming off of his flight pattern destroy a ton of buildings. People are screaming and running in the streets. This is the minimal genocide that we were talking about earlier.
Minimal.
He breaks into the TV station and approaches the reception desk, which is hilarious, and puts his hand down, on the desk, very nice, not angry at all. And as he does, like,
just the sheer force of his aura.
Yeah, like he's exuding power. There, like a little crater forms on the desk where his fist is. Even though he doesn't pound it, it just happens. And he's like, "Please, could you tell me where the studio is?" Studio. I don't know if he says Studio B or where the live recording's happening or something. And the receptionist says Studio B, and he's like, "Okay, thank you very much." She says upstairs, and he's like, okay. He doesn't take the elevator or anything. He just blasts through the ceiling.
Well, he doesn't even blast. He slowly flies up, and
it just kind of melts around him. Yeah. So he's just going up and up through this building. It cuts to Master Roshi watching TV, and of course he's doing the scantily clad women doing exercises.
Of course, that's what he's doing.
But I love this particular instance of that because it actually pays off.
It amounts to something.
Him and Oolong are just like, ooh, women doing Pilates, whatever
it is. Yeah.
Cell rises through the floor of the exercise room, and the girls are scared and run off, and he just comes up, and Roshi's like, whoa, okay, wasn't expecting this. So he calls everybody in, and they channel surf, tracking Cell as he rises through the floors of the TV station. So like a cooking show and a talk show and all this stuff. And he keeps going up and up and up and up.
Yes.
And they keep flipping channels to try to chase him.
Just to pull us back for a second, did you think about the implications of this one network having all of the different channels live broadcasting just on different floors?
Yeah, I did. This is incredibly unrealistic that one TV studio would be running 12 channels with live shows happening all at the same time.
This is
100%,
a dangerous thing to be doing in this world. It's very odd.
Like one power outage and nobody can watch TV anymore.
Yeah, and that's it. The whole thing is ruined. So, okay, anyway.
Yeah, I did think about it, but it's really cool. Like the scene is really awesome.
Oh, yeah.
It's super unique and clever. But anyway, he rises through, gets to the top of the building where the international news is happening, destroys the desk and doesn't kill, but does like swat away the news anchor.
Yep.
As he asks, like, is this Studio B? Is this Studio B? And he starts his announcement.
I love that this all-powerful godlike figure is going
It's like,
through.
am I in the right place?
Where am I? Yeah, is this the studio? Is this the right place?
He starts making his pitch for this tournament. I love the background crew, the camera crew for this, because it's so professional. They're like, zoom in, camera one, move here, get this shot. Like all this is happening in the background. You can see people running around with cameras and stuff.
Yeah, their producer's a badass. He doesn't care.
Yeah, seriously. Like, keep rolling. Zelda's like, hey, you may have heard of me. I'm Cell. He changes into his Cell like V1 voice from when, which is crazy. I don't know if it's the same actor or if they really did get the version 1 actor to come back in for like 2 lines.
I don't know. That's a great question.
I really don't know. It sounds different enough, but also, voice actors are pretty talented. So who knows?
How talented this voice actor might be, like, damn, maybe.
Yeah. He says, you might know me. I've absorbed a lot of you, but now I'm all powerful and I'm going to hold the tournament in 9 days' time. Area S.5, 28 miles northeast of Eastern City. If I am not defeated, Earth is doomed. But my disadvantage is I'm not going to stop. War of attrition rules. Like, you could potentially wear me down and save your planet, is basically what he's saying.
Yes, but he does outline the rules, and he says, I will really, really try to not kill you.
Although I'll try to avoid this. If you die, you will be disqualified. So,
yeah.
You have 9 days to prepare. Anybody who wants to compete is welcome. And just so you know, this is what you're dealing with. And he blasts the wall behind him and basically blows up a mountain.
Huge portion of the city.
I love that it cuts back to our gang, and Yamcha suddenly, even though he knew that this is what was going to happen, there was going to be a tournament, he was so excited, I'm going to kick Cell's ass. He's so scared. Like, the most scared of all of them. He's like, what are we going to do? We're going to die. Trunks and Vegeta couldn't beat him. What are we? Like, we stand no chance. Like, fucking,
duh.
Yeah, that was also true an hour ago.
Yeah. Hello. He's such a back and forth asshole. Like, I fucking hate this version of Yamcha. I liked Yamcha back in the beginning. This one is just like, it must be a problem when you have this many characters. You just don't know what to make each one say.
Yeah, you have to,
Yamcha needs a girlfriend or something, or a boyfriend.
He really does just need something. Vegeta's like, I'm going to go train. And Trunks is like, me too. And Bulma says like, oh, hey, wait, I'll cut your hair before you go. I'm kind of shocked that this wasn't like a scene in the show between them. Because I feel like it's almost a bonding moment between a mother and son, which could be kind of cool for them. But it doesn't actually show it. It just kind of like implies, which it still kind of works.
The feeling is there, but it's not as well shown as it could have been.
It could be, yeah, for sure. The next time we see Trunks, he will have short hair again.
Yes. Real quick, there's a little cut just before any of this stuff happened to the hyperbolic time chamber.
I swear I put a note about Gohan's nightmare. I don't know if it's... Oh, no, you're right. I totally skipped it. I'm sorry, dude. Go ahead.
It's cool. It doesn't matter. It's also so much of a fucking blur. So Gohan has a nightmare while he's in the hyperbolic time chamber. And you know it's a nightmare because it cuts to the hyperbolic time chamber. Gohan is training as a Super Saiyan, and then Chi-Chi just fucking walks in. And we've had this happen enough throughout this series.
Yeah, we're fairly confident that it's just a nightmare.
Right, it's just a nightmare. Like, they do this so often, it's just a nightmare. Like, my note is literally, oh God, it's one of these. So Cell appears and just fucking slaps Chi-Chi across the face. Just slaps her, and she's on the ground.
And she dies.
And she dies. She's dead now. Piccolo's also there and gets knocked the fuck out. Like, even Piccolo fights Cell for a brief instant, then just hits the floor. He's down. Cell steps on Piccolo's head and crushes it, and does the same thing with Chi-Chi. And it was not as brutal as I was expecting it to be.
No,
honestly.
It could have been a lot worse, but it's a kid having a nightmare.
But even some of these other nightmares that Gohan has had have been so violent and horrifying. I was ready for it. I was like, yeah, here we go, death metal stuff. But no, it's just kind of he has a nightmare, and then he wakes up, and Goku is a great dad. And it's like, don't worry, son, it was a nightmare. You had a little bit of a fever there for a second, but you're doing great now. Don't worry, we'll kick his fucking ass. Go to bed.
So Gohan obviously still has reservations about all this, and still cares for the people he cares for. Whatever.
Fuck it, move on.
Episode 168. The Japanese title is Goku and Gohan, the hero, father, and son's ultimate level up. And the American title is Meet Me in the Ring.
My episode title is the one where the tension gets so thick, it could have an OnlyFans.
Oh my God. This episode begins with a massive worldwide evacuation.
Holy shit, with spaceships everywhere.
Everybody, flying cars, spaceships, regular cars, walking, planes. Everybody's trying to go somewhere.
Yeah, where are they? He's going to blow up the fucking planet, right?
I'm not saying that it's the show's fault. I think that this would definitely happen in real life. But where are they going?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Everybody wants to leave so they don't get hurt by Cell, even though his threat is, I'm going to destroy the entire planet.
Mass panic.
I'm going to die, so I'm going to max out all my credit cards and go to Fiji like I always wanted.
Right, yeah, but everyone is doing that at once.
Dude, even the dinosaurs are running in.
That was kind of a beautiful thing.
That was pretty funny.
Actually.
I like that a lot.
The dinosaur, everybody's stuck in traffic and then or running away in a huge crowd, and even the dinosaurs hop over the mountains like, oh, fuck, and one of them's got like a hat, like the travel bag.
It's
like
so
they're going.
Good.
That's real good. So the gang's watching all this on TV.
Yeah,
and
Oolong wants to escape via spaceship.
Not a bad idea.
I know. Poirot talks him down, and I'm just like, okay, like you guys have the capability. Why not save yourself?
Yeah.
Anyway.
And that's a very Oolong thing to do. I like the character moment. Like, it makes sense. I don't give a shit about Oolong in general, but at least what he's saying is perfectly in character.
So yeah, everybody else kind of watched this on TV. Krillin regrets smashing the remote because it ultimately led to this. I still believe firmly that other characters had a arguably bigger part to play in that mistake, but
he's got the guilt
Krillin,
in there though.
He's definitely got the guilt. He's a good enough character to feel guilt about his bad decisions.
Yeah.
And Roshi and Yamcha try to calm him down.
Like he's going to storm out and go fight Cell right now.
He's going to go fight Cell and it's not going to go well. But
so they talk him down. Don't do that. Don't die. Don't go die.
Cut back to Kami Tower for a second. This neat little piano track that's a lot more serious than a lot of Dragon Ball Z music usually is. And Vegeta is there at that point?
Yeah, so it's Piccolo, Vegeta, Trunks, and Tien are on top of the tower, and they're talking about the hyperbolic time chamber and the plans that they're going to have, who's going to go in next, and then how they're going to train. And Vegeta's like, you all should stay out for the next 8 days, because I'm gonna live in there. I'm going to get super buff. And this is where they drop some hyperbolic time chamber arbitrary rules, which is you can't stay inside for more than 48 hours, or the entrance disappears and you are trapped inside forever.
I don't understand why that is the case.
I don't know. And
it doesn't make any damn sense at all.
They fucking forget about it later because in Super, Vegeta goes into the hyperbolic time chamber and blows it up multiple times. So
wait, really?
Yeah. He annihilates the whole, we'll get to it, I'm sure. Maybe.
Anyway, so they're talking about all this. Vegeta's obsessed with this idea that he is the main character of the show. And that Gohan and Goku are only in there to surpass Vegeta.
Mm-hmm.
Not to do, save the world or anything, just to surpass Vegeta. They state very specifically that Gohan and Goku have 3 to 9. I can't remember.
They have
what
3 hours remaining.
3 hours left in the hyperbolic time chamber, which equates to, a couple days, whatever. And everybody sort of stops mid-argument where they're saying, like, I want to go in first. I want to go in first. Their eyes go right toward the door of the hyperbolic time chamber. Goku and Gohan emerge 3 hours early than planned.
Which means, I said 10 months. They have spent 10 months in there.
Yeah, which like everybody's, well, especially Vegeta's like, why would they leave early?
It blows their goddamn minds.
Vegeta's sure that they would stay in there for extra time and they come out early.
Of course, they need the extra time.
Yeah, so Goku's like, I'll explain everything in a second, but right now we need to eat. So they eat lunch.
Yes, and when they walk out in Super Saiyan form with the blonde,
very important. Yeah,
blonde hair.
They are talking just like normal, as if they're not Super Saiyan. There's no fight persona, gravelly voice, whatever.
Right, yeah,
but they are both clearly Super Saiyan.
Maybe this is just me. The hair color seemed like
it's less gold.
Yeah, it's whiter.
Yeah, I think there's a reason for that because at some point during this, one of them powers up, and when they power up, they get the aura back,
right?
Which I think kind of influences the hair color. They don't have an aura right now, so they're not like. I guess that means that they're just not actively channeling power.
Sure,
they're just kind of like normalized.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely a different color than usual, though.
Yeah, it's like it's almost a different form in and of itself, but they've succeeded, and they're eating food and talking to people about how shit's going down, like how the training was. Goku's like, "Hey, fill me in on what happened." I think there's a cut to like a train.
There is this train. I like this little train scene. It doesn't have any of our main characters in it, but it's kind of creepy. There's just a mom sitting on a train,
Oh yeah.
evacuating.
Mm.
The little girl next to her daughter, is like out the window going, "Hey, hello, hey out there, hello."
Waving to something.
And the mom's like, "Hey, what's going on? What do you see somebody out there?" And she looks out the window and it's fucking Cell flying alongside the train. And everybody on the train like freaks out. And then it shows a bunch of cars trying to evacuate, and they're stopped by this train at the railroad
You're
crossing.
right, this is a good scene.
It's pretty good. And the train's passing by. Thankfully, everybody on board the train survives. And as people in the cars are like yelling, like, "Hey, we got to get by here. He's coming, Cell's on his way." And then through the slats in the train cars, it's running by, you can see Cell standing on the other side of the railroad crossing. And eventually the train stops and everybody in the cars are like, "Oh, fuck." So they jump out of their cars and they run away. And Cell picks up one of the cars. He's like, "Hey, you forgot this." And he just chucks it. The creepiest part about this scene, because it's a great scene, is you can hear everybody screaming as they're running away. And once the car goes beyond the hills and hits the people and blows up, the screaming stops dead.
Yeah.
So he's once again, not perplexed about killing people.
No, Cell is just having some fun, just killing time and civilian people. This scene guaranteed that he is going to be my favorite villain in the entirety of the series, because I know of the next villain and I know I hate the next villain. So Cell is my favorite one, easily.
He might be my favorite too, and I don't mind the next one, but I really do enjoy these scenes like this. It's just so deliciously evil.
Yes, he's like an Emperor Palpatine type, who's just enjoying being a dick, but it's also the regal attitude. It's great.
It's the gentleman villain.
Yes,
is kind of the thing that I think appeals to me. Anyway,
you've said that a couple of times. What's another example of that? Is Thanos a gentleman villain? Because I don't know anything.
Thanos is a gentleman villain because there's this part where he's fighting Tony Stark, and he's obviously going to win versus Iron Man, and he stops and he says like, "I'm going to kill you right now, but I hope they remember you." And like, it's something about acknowledging your opponent is of
merit.
An acceptable level. Yeah, merit. Thank you. That is really appealing to me. And like the politeness, and whereas like something like Carnage or, where it's just chaotic evil, there's an appeal there, but it's less intriguing to me than.
Yeah, I think I recognize what you mean by gentleman villain. And I think a lot of things try to do it, but they don't do it right. Like they have lawful evil, but they just don't do that properly.
We cut to Bulma's lab in Capsule Corp. Dr. Briefs and Bulma, father-daughter, working on Android 16. I really like this part because it's just, you see a lot of code, which is very interesting and unusual for Dragon Ball Z.
It bothers me. And you should too.
Computer screens.
You were just talking about the hacker game, and you know what code looks like. This is not code. It bothers me, and it shouldn't. It's one of those, I know it shouldn't bother me. It's just like sine, cosine, tangent. I'm like, fuck, no.
It's not realistic at all, but also we don't have androids in real life, so who the hell knows?
Yeah, and this was what,
crazy guy,
89, 90.
This is like 1989. Yeah. I like a couple touches. It like zooms in on the code, and you can see the individual pixels of the monitor. Which I thought was pretty cool.
Wow, some of the chill scenes that they have, I keep using that word. Some of the calmer scenes that they have way more detail than they deserve.
Yeah,
zooming.
They spent a lot of time on it. It's weird.
Yeah.
Bulma's in a new outfit. She's just talking to her dad. I really like this scene. They're just talking about like the nature of AI and how 16 was designed to kill Goku, but androids are so complex and the code is just so like overwhelmingly big that you just don't know. Like he apparently has a choice. He's either waiting for the right moment to kill Goku, or he's made a choice to become something else. And we don't really know enough about the nature of AI to make a decision either way. I just thought it was really interesting. Like it was an oddly smart scene for Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
To question the nature of villainy and heroes and all that stuff.
Artificial intelligence and and consciousness and choice. Like this, my note here is this scene hammers in that as an adult, my favorite parts of Dragon Ball Z are no longer the screaming fighting bits. It's this stuff.
I completely agree.
It's the moments in between the moments, and it's why I will probably still fight tooth and nail to say that Dragon Ball Z is a great show, because it has these moments, even though it doesn't know how to fucking pace itself sometimes.
No, but it spends time where it needs to.
Yeah.
Like in the different areas that it needs to. This show could easily be all screaming, all fighting all the time.
Yeah.
But it recognizes that it needs downtime, even though sometimes it front loads it and doesn't give it where it, once things start going off. But anyway.
Yeah, it's this scene in itself was fascinating. It really made me stop and think. And I had to stop watching it as I was just sitting there like, I really do love this show, but for totally different reasons.
It's crazy.
Interesting.
And it goes on longer than you would anticipate. Like I thought it was just gonna be a quick like cut to see what's going on, but they actually had stuff to say, which I liked.
Yes, I really do. I know we talked about these scenes or these episodes are just kind of like average-ish, and for the most part, they are. But they also have some of my favorite stuff that Dragon Ball Z does.
Yeah, it's just these people living their lives, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so much fun, but there's a lot less bombastic,
which also is enjoyable.
Yeah, which also is enjoyable. Unlike a primal
things.
sort of like flashing lights and colors and big sounds.
Yeah, give me
like
that dopamine, damn you.
Give me the shiny nickel. Yeah,
right. Yeah, exactly.
So we cut back to Kami Tower where Goku and Gohan have finished lunch. They are dressing, basically.
Yeah.
We see, this is the scene John was talking about earlier where Goku gets on his old clothes.
So many frames!
It's so good. It's funny because he's like, hey, Mr. Popo, do you still have my clothes? He's like, yeah, I even watched them for you. It's been a day. As far as Mr. Popo's goes, those clothes are only a day old. He's been doing laundry.
Okay, what else is Mr. Popo doing, really? He's a homemaker for Kami Tower.
Yeah, and somebody says, I think it's Trunks. He's like, Bulma can make you new Saiyan armor, Goku, if you want. And Goku's like, no. I want to fight this as an Earthling, which I really liked. There was a lot of context in that one little line.
Yes.
Which could be an excuse just to draw Goku as his like hero self that we all know him as, with the gi and everything. But it means something to him, even as a Saiyan.
Yeah.
To fight as an Earthling for Earth.
As an analogy, it's like being born in any other country than America and then becoming an American. It's a big deal for some people. So you were born as a Saiyan, but you were raised on Earth. Therefore, you are an Earthling. You can be both things at once, but he wants to fight as an Earthling. It's too much depth for Dragon Ball Z. It's weird. These episodes are just like oddly hit. I don't know.
It made me feel good. It was good.
Yeah.
Piccolo agrees to... go ahead.
No, you do it.
All right. Piccolo agrees to give Gohan a new outfit. Gohan's very excited. He's like, hey, I don't want to wear Saiyan armor either. Can you give me an outfit that looks like what you're wearing? You were my first trainer after all. And Piccolo's like, sure. And he screams really loud and basically blasts Gohan to smithereens, except when the flash clears, Gohan's just wearing Goku clothes.
Yeah.
Or not Goku clothes, Piccolo clothes.
He does scream really loud. How much power does it take to make clothes?
I don't know. Because when he did it the first time back in the Saiyan saga, it was just like a snap of the fingers.
Poof. Yeah, I think he's showing off.
I can make clothes with my hand.
Yeah. Can you do that, Goku? You Super Saiyan strongest guy, bitch.
They talk a little bit about Cell, and Goku's like, I kind of want to see him in his new form.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, this is odd. The way that it begins is odd.
Yeah, it was so sudden. It kind of ripped me from the scene a little bit. They're just standing there getting dressed, and then Goku's like, I kind of want to check out Cell. So he just instant transmissions over to Cell, because obviously Cell has the biggest energy reading on the planet right now, so it's easy enough for Goku to find him. So Goku disappears from Kami Tower. It cuts to the Cell arena, which now have these sort of spikes coming out of the four corners of the square on the ground.
Iconic.
Very iconic. It looks great. And it shows Cell standing there alone. One of the pillars is kind of close up in the shot. It's sort of zoomed in, but you're concentrating on Cell in the middle, and it sort of pans away. You can see a little bit of the arena on the right side, and then the pillar gets in the way of the shot. And when it comes around and the pillar goes totally out of frame, to reveal what was behind it, Goku's just standing there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't show him teleport in. He's just there, it's kind of a cool shot.
The scene is amazing. We're probably going to spend some fucking time on it because, wow, it's good.
And it's the first real kind of confrontation between Goku and Perfect Cell.
Oh, I guess Goku has seen Cell one other time only.
Yeah, and that was also a very awesome scene, but it was very quick as well.
Yeah.
This time, neither one of them is threatened by the other, which I think is very interesting. This is basically Goku just getting a read on the new Cell.
Yes. One of the first things that happens is Cell is explaining where they are, and he's all proud about his arena. What do you think of the new Tenkaichi arena? I don't think they ever say Tenkaichi in English. Goku disses his ring. It's like, it's a little small for somewhere to decide the fate of the world. And Cell purses his lips and only says one other thing for the entire scene after that.
Goku kind of goes on this a little bit of a monologue, and he's like, other people have tried to wield this sort of injustice, and they all failed, and so will you. And as they're standing next to each other having this conversation, like lightning starts generating, storm clouds start to form. Like the sheer power between these two characters, which I don't think is ever seen. There's no continuity with this. It's just one scene that's pretty cool. The entire world kind of goes berserk just trying to handle these two huge pieces of power in one place.
It cuts to some buildings in some city that hasn't been annihilated yet. People are noticing the big storm clouds and lightning across the planet now. They do a great job of showing this tension.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what it is. It's just this visual representation of the tension between the two characters. And Goku says basically, I've come a long way, Cell. He's trained a lot for this fight, and he's not going to let Earth just go by the wayside. And then we see this really cool... it didn't have to be this cool, and they spent a lot of time on it, I think, because it's presented a lot better than a lot of the flashbacks in Dragon Ball Z. But we see these pieces of Cell's backstory, like when he was a larval form, and when he was the shell beetle breaking out of that, and the first form, absorbing all of the civilians to gain power, transforming into second form Cell, fighting Vegeta, absorbing Android 18, becoming perfect, like all of the shit that Cell has been through. And his response to Goku's "I've come a long way, Cell," after all that is, "So have I."
Yeah, it's right after Goku just did his big long monologue, and Cell has just been standing there. And after this flash scene, the "So have I." It's like, oh,
it's perfect. It's so good.
So fucking good.
You get a weird amount of insight into his perspective and like how much he's been fighting for, as disagreeable as they are, his own personal goals.
Yeah.
And what he's had to go through to get to this point. It's really interesting and presented really in a very cool way.
Yes. It's a wonderful moment of brevity that DBZ rarely ever nails. Top DBZ moments for me.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So Goku blips back to his friends and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, he's pretty strong. I think he'd beat the shit out of me. Like, he literally says, I'm confident he would beat me into the ground. And this floors everyone else. Like, oh, no.
Yeah, he's very calm about it, though. It doesn't seem to bother him that much. They have 9 days for the tournament, right? So they're going to go on a rotation. The Z Warriors will, one at a time, go into the hyperbolic time chamber, train for 24 hours, and come out. So they're all going to power up. They're going to beef up. And at the end of the episode, it's discovered that Goku doesn't want another turn.
Yeah. Hates it in there.
He's not as powerful as Cell, but it sucks in there. He's not going to go back in. He can train for 9 days and everything's going to be fine. So,
which is weird. It kind of floors everybody else.
Yeah, it's very confusing and we don't really find out why.
Yeah, not yet.
That leads us right into episode 169. The Japanese title is Goku's Composure. Let's rest and wait for the Cell games. The American title is No Worries Here.
My episode title is a quote from the intro and then 2 words from me. The intro announcer is going, Goku knows there's only 9 days left, but he doesn't want to train in the hyperbolic time chamber anymore. What could be the secret to his confidence? And I yelled, he's dumb. And it confused the person that I'm living with.
This episode opens essentially where the last one stopped. They're still having the same conversation. Vegeta is insistent that he's going back in the hyperbolic time chamber and is curious why Goku chose not to. Goku basically says, if you think torturing your body in there is the same as training, go for it, which I think is kind of an interesting insight into how the hyperbolic time chamber works.
Which I want to be angry because this is counter to literally every other bit of training that Goku has ever done is torturing his body until it makes it stronger. Every single time, that's what it is. But if I didn't have future knowledge, I would be raging.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, but also I think he's lying.
Yeah, it's either a really long-term Gohan's monkey tail, or he's like, that brain injury that we talked about him getting a long time ago has become a real issue.
I'm not sure why he's keeping it secret, but I think he's being more clever than we're led to believe at this moment.
That's what it seems like, at least.
So Gohan and Goku take off while everybody's going to train.
Oh, before that, Vegeta does confront Goku with, Kakarot, you make it sound like you've become a great deal stronger than I have. And Goku hits him with, yeah, I'm way above you. It's a hard shut up, Vegeta, which doesn't ever happen. Vegeta always has I was just being fooled, or yeah, you're lying. No, this one she's like, oh, she's shook. It shakes him. It's great.
Whenever Vegeta gets to eat that crow, I'm pretty happy.
Oh yeah, he's got the feathers coming out of his face. It's fantastic. So they take off, leaves everybody speechless, but they do stop at Corrin's tower, which is definitely connected to Kami's tower in this scene.
This scene is weird for me, and maybe it's because I haven't seen Dragon Ball, so I don't totally understand what's going on. I thought they were stopping by Corrin's tower for sensu beans.
The whole thing about the tower, yeah.
But Goku lands there, and he's like, hey, Corrin, how's it going? Yajirobe's there, because he always is. And he says, hey, can you sense Cell's full power? Which is apparently an ability that Corrin has that I had no idea.
Yeah.
Like, is Goku not able? I don't understand.
Yeah, it brings up an interesting point. Does that mean Corrin is the keeper of power scaling? Because that is one of the most useless titles that one could possibly have.
But at least it gives him a purpose as a character, because otherwise I don't know why he exists except as a sensu bean.
This is the first time it's being brought up 160 whatever episodes in. So
I don't know if it's like a Dragon Ball thing that finally just was made relevant again, or if this is just a weird. I don't know why they would just want to include.
It's a good guess. That's a good guess because they're doing that with a lot of these things. With the tournament and what's happening in the next episode, bringing back an old Dragon Ball character with Roshi's flashbacks to the Tenkaichi tournaments. Like, that's a good guess.
So we find out that Corrin can sense Cell's full power, and Goku wants to know how he matches up, even though he just physically was in front of Cell moments earlier. Vegeta kind of explains casual Super Saiyan. So at this point, Goku and Gohan have not come out of Super Saiyan at all. Not once. And Vegeta's like, so what they're doing is they're trying to normalize being in Super Saiyan mode so that when the time comes, they don't have to expend energy to become Super Saiyan. They just already are.
Mm-hmm.
So they can use that energy that normally just gets diffused as transformation energy into fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, frick, it's brilliant. I don't know.
Yeah. How come I didn't think of that? And then Trunks does that. He's like, that's why I fucked up, is because I blew all my energy getting big muscles and then I couldn't fight. They're so smart. And you know what?
Yeah.
In this world, they are actually really smart. That's a really good idea.
I mean, you're kind of getting a better picture of how things work. It takes energy to become more powerful, and then it takes energy to maintain that form.
Mm-hmm.
So you can only stay in there for a limited amount of time and use your full, brute strength for a limited amount of time.
Which calls into question how they transformed in the first place, especially when Goku's got his ass fucking beat so hard on Namek, and then he has no energy left. But then I'm not going to even try. I'm not even going to try. I get it. It's a writing thing, but still. So, okay, yeah, Goku powers the fuck up.
He's like, Corrin, I'm going to power up, and you can compare to Cell and tell me if I stand a chance.
Break out your energy barometer. Tell me what the pressure's like.
So he does, and almost wrecks the entire tower.
Yeah.
People on Kami Tower above them are like, oh God, we're going to die. What's going on?
Yeah, the tiles turn like dark blue. The show has evolved to showing and not telling so much, and it's so refreshing.
It's good. And then Yajirobe gets knocked almost off the tower.
Close.
By this influx of energy. It pushes him off the tower. He grabs the railing, so he's just kind of hanging there.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts to break apart the foundation of the tower. So Corrin's like, hey, stop. And Goku stops. He's like, hey, that was about half my power.
Mm-hmm.
And Corrin's like, are you not going to be happy until you wreck the whole planet?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, power scaling, man. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I love Corrin.
It's exactly what I was thinking. Yajirobe climbs back up. He almost dies, but he doesn't. And he's like, I'm back, but everybody ignores
cares.
it. Nobody cares about Yajirobe in this scene.
Mm-hmm.
Corrin is like, okay, if that was half your power, it's hard to tell, but I don't think you stand a chance against Cell at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And Goku's like, okay, that's what I thought. Bye.
At this point, it's leaving Gohan confused now.
Yeah.
I think the whole purpose of that was to raise the question for Gohan, because now he's done it twice. Where he's like, okay, guess we're going to get our asses kicked. Cool. Let's go get some food. Let's go get some shrimp, whatever he's doing. And now Gohan's kind of like, But it does cut to Vegeta, who has another goddamn crisis because he's just felt how big and powerful, strong Goku is. And he just has one of those where it slowly zooms away from a close up of his face and the background gets dark. And we hear his inner monologue where he's like, damn it! Why are you always laughing in my face, Kakarot? So they now get to Kame Island, Goku and Gohan. They're there to pick up Chi-Chi. And Chi-Chi freaks out over Gohan's dyed hair.
She's not happy
She
about
says, my sweet little Gohan has become a punker. I had to roll back a couple of times.
I didn't understand what she had said.
Yeah, I had to do it a couple times because I had no idea.
Punker's not a thing.
No, that's not a real... And I guess it's like she doesn't know what the words are. She just what she knows from TV. So I don't know. It's like when your parents are like, "You're becoming a gothic,"
Goku's plan is to rest. They have 9 days. They're going to rest for 3 days, train for 3 days, rest for 3 days, tournament. Everybody's very confused about why why they're not just training. But anyway, we got to Cell, and you can tell because the music ramps up again. And
oh my God, bad audio mixing, by the way, because Cell has a little inner monologue, and you can't hear a damn thing that his brain is saying because the music is so loud.
He blasts off into space to go train. He's like, oh man, I'm glad I finally get to use Frieza and his dad's cells.
Yeah.
The genes that they gave me to survive in space.
Neat.
So
neat little
Cell
thing.
can survive in space. That's interesting. And he fights meteors, makes it rain a meteor shower on Earth.
Goes to the Kuiper Belt or whatever it's called.
He's doing his thing. We got to Gohan and Goku who are fishing, and Krillin shows up. He's like, hey, Goku, good to see ya. Let's hang out for a bit.
On the bank of a pond or a lake as they're fishing, and Goku and Gohan are kicked back with their hands behind their head, just staring up at the sky. And it's so low key and wonderful.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm curious though. There's a flashback here where like Gohan's like, remember Dad when you promised to take me fishing all that time ago? And it actually does flash back to something. And the animation is bad enough in that flashback that I know it's a scene from an earlier thing.
Right.
But I don't think it's an earlier episode. Is it one of the movies?
I think it's an earlier episode that they dubbed over.
Really?
That's my guess.
I didn't recognize it at all.
I didn't recognize it at all either, but it might have been episode like 2. It really might have been that far back, and I really do think they dubbed over it because I do not remember this promise that Goku makes to Gohan to take him fishing because Krillin remembers the promise, and we don't.
Krillin and Goku.
Mid-roll shout-out! This is the part where we like to shout out some individuals that hit a certain tier on our Patreon, and those individuals are... Please cut all this silence. Dan, Mackie DeMo, Axel, Spencer Feuerstein. Thank you so much for hitting all the different... Thank you for contributing to the continued... I should just write something so I don't have to ad-lib.
Was there something else you wanted to say?
Oh, no. I don't know. That was it. That was the mid-roll thing. So, back to whatever
back to our regular scheduled podcast.
What you were saying before.
Anyway, so they just kind of have fun for the day, kind of bond, and Krillin's like, yeah, I feel bad about that whole Android 18 thing.
Yeah.
Goku tells him not to worry because they're friends, and they high five, and it hits Krillin so hard that he falls into the river, and he comes up, he's like, help, I can't swim, help, I'm going to drown. Goku's like, hey, I got you, don't worry, buddy, take my hand. And then Krillin like smiles, pulls him into the water with him. This is a great little friendship moment between those two. And then they're napping, and Krillin takes a rock. He's like, he's Super Saiyan all the time now. I bet he can detect everything. If I throw this rock at him, he'll just disintegrate it. It'll be so cool. And so he chucks a rock at Goku, and it smacks him in the face. And Goku's like, ow, why the hell did you do that? The only thing that I found particularly interesting about that was that it just reaffirms that if you're not prepared, the smallest things can still hurt you, regardless of your power level.
Exactly.
Because he's Super Saiyan at this point. So we cut to Goku's house where they're all eating dinner. Krillin's there, Gohan's there, Goku's there, Chi-Chi's there, and she's sort of adapted to the blonde look. And she just says, go do your homework, Gohan. And Gohan's like, okay. It's a weird like moment where they're just a normal family.
It's very low key. It's almost like there are, I don't know what the term is for this, but there are other animes that are called slice of life is the term. And this is like as close as we're ever going to get to that, I think. It's also made almost sweeter by the ticking clock of the Cell games because it's not going to be like this forever. Also, cool new use for Krillin that I forgot to mention in a different episode where I'm like, I only like Krillin when he brings the senzu beans. No, he makes a pretty good audience surrogate also for like what's going on here and why is Goku so calm. He asks all the right questions.
So we move on to the last episode in this podcast episode 170. Japanese title is A Warrior's Rest. The Girl, the Lies, and Gohan's Resolution. I was going to say resurrection.
Oh.
That is incorrect. The American title is A Girl Named Lime.
My episode title is, oh no, it's another fucking filler episode.
That's as soon as I saw the episode title, my first note was, I think this might be a filler episode.
I looked it up. It absolutely is a filler. But I also have a post title, which is fuck English. Whenever I watch these, I always have to turn off the subtitles. When I found out this was a filler episode, without watching this episode, not knowing if it was going to be good or bad, I wonder if it's any better with the direct Japanese translations. It is. It is so much fucking better that it makes me want to rewatch many, many episodes with the direct Japanese. Like,
Wow.
Normally when I take notes now, I kind of, okay, and then we have a cut to this happens. And we have a cut to this happens. None of my notes are that. So you will have to kind of guide me through this episode. My notes are just what they say in Japanese versus what they're saying in English.
I like that. Okay. Well, you just stop me when you have an interjection. So this episode starts much like one of the first episodes of Dragon Ball Z started, with a small girl, on a tree above a river. She's trying to grab fruit. She grabs the fruit, falls into the river. Except instead of crying baby going through a river for an entire episode, Gohan just appears out of nowhere, jumps in, saves the girl. The girl is not appreciative of the rescue and runs off into the woods.
Hey, hang on. Got one.
Okay.
In Japanese, Gohan says, "Don't worry, I'm here." Pulls her out of the water. And she says, "Oh, you pervert. How dare you?" And then runs into the forest, which explains why she responds that way. And then Gohan's response is, pervert? Like, he's just confounded. Like, he doesn't even know what the word means.
We move on to Chazki Village. I thought it was a ghost town at first.
So did I. I think that was probably the vibe they were going for.
Yeah, like Gohan flies in. He's like, he spots a domed structure off in the woods. He's like, oh, that's weird. I've never seen that before. And then he flies into town. It looks like a Wild West ghost town, but he's like, oh man, this is deserted too. I like how this filler episode is integrated into the main saga.
Yes.
It couldn't take place any other time because it wouldn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically shopping.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about this. That's the whole setup. He's shopping for Chi-Chi.
He runs into a convenience store that actually has people in it. A couple cowboys with guns harassing an old shopkeeper.
Oh, hey, another insert here. As he is walking around the ghost town in Japanese, Gohan says, "This is the 5th village I've been to, and no one is around. I can't just up and take these things. That would be messed up."
Oh, that's interesting, because he says it's like the 4th in English, but he doesn't say anything about, I can't just shoplift.
Mm-hmm.
So there's these two cowboys, sort of tough guys.
In English, they sound like sleazeball goons. And in Japanese, they are, from the get-go, they are threatening this dude's life. They are threatening to murder him. They're going to kill him. They're going to take his stuff. But they're going to put you to work. It's the same story, but it's told in two completely different tones.
Yeah.
It's so very strange. So yeah, they're hustling this dude, and Gohan walks in, and the grandpa who's in charge of the store says, "What do you need? I'll get you what you need, son." And Gohan's just looking for spices. That's his whole thing. He's just looking for spices for his mom. And then you hear from outside, like a little girl's screaming out, "Oh God, it's Cell! Cell's back! Oh fuck!" So the boys, the tough boys are like, "Oh shit," and they leave. They just run. "Let's go. We got to get to the shelter." And they run to the shelter. And then that little girl that Gohan saved earlier walks back in with a big old smile, like he's not really there. She just
which
knew.
is pretty brilliant.
Yeah.
But he was, Gohan finds out. First form, Cell, this is one of the places that he stopped at to absorb people.
Mm-hmm.
And in that mess, the girl, Lime, her parents were absorbed by Cell.
Yeah.
So she's being looked after by this old shopkeeper.
Mm-hmm. It's a really nice scene where they're on the bank of a river, and the old shopkeeper's chopping wood with an axe. In Japanese, he says, which, another side note, they say a lot of words without saying anything in English. Like, they just throw away. Most of the time in Japanese, when their backs are turned, they're not saying anything. In English, when their backs are turned, they're just throwing more fucking lines out of them. One of the things that he says in Japanese is they say, once Cell strikes a place, he doesn't come back. Maybe that's just a worthless rumor people are spreading around.
Oh, that's interesting.
Fucking world building. That's just not
cool,
there in English.
yeah.
And I'm like, I got to start watching this show in Japanese. Like, I really might like it better. So
apparently that's awesome. It's like one of the things that I love about this episode is that it shows you all that scary stuff that we were talking about a couple of podcast episodes ago about Cell going into a town and absorbing people, and how it was a totally different feel from what we're used to with Dragon Ball Z. It's cool to see that perspective through a POV of a civilian that doesn't have the power to stop Cell himself, and like what the world is going through with this thing and make it feel a little bit more grounded. It's cool.
Yes. So I guess the narrative is Gohan offers to help chop the wood. Gohan throws the wood up into the air, and he's about to just blast the wood. He's going to annihilate it.
It's so funny because like the music kicks up. It does the music that ba-da-da-bop, like it does that theme. And then he's just about to blast it, and the girl's like, wait! And Gohan's like, what? And he's distracted for a second. All the logs hit him on the head, and he goes down, and the girl's like, you can't chop wood without an axe.
Yeah, you're being silly. So in Japanese, what distracts Gohan is she calls him Big Brother.
Oh, weird.
She continues to call him Big Brother for the entire rest of the episode.
Really?
And it's so much more endearing than just, hey, guy, hey, kid, hey, whatever. Like, she lost her fucking parents. She doesn't have any other family. She calls the shopkeeper grandpa. She's calling this new person, Gohan, Big Brother. Like, she's fucked up. And it comes across that way in Japanese. I cared about this character in Japanese. I'm listening in English, and I'm annoyed by this character. There's a couple other like
strange.
Little mini things that happen, but that's like the big one that really was like, I gotta start watching this with the subtitles on. I might not, because it was hard. It took me twice as long to get through this episode for that very reason.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, you're basically watching 2 different episodes.
Yeah. So I think we cut to Krillin, who is
and Goku, just for a second.
Yeah. So
how can you be so calm and relaxed? Goku's like yawning and like falling asleep, still Super Saiyan, and Goku has something up his sleeve and he's not telling anybody.
Yes. In Japanese, Krillin says, there's only 8 days left, Goku. All of your lulling about is putting my entire sense of tension through the ringer.
Yeah, that's basically what he says in English.
With dumber words.
Yeah. Yeah. It cuts to this shelter, this dome-shaped building outside of town that was built very quickly. Is actually a shelter for all of the civilians to come and congregate and be safe from Cell. The person that owns it is just a rich, stupid asshole.
His name is Bourbon.
Basically just taking advantage of people and using them for slave labor in exchange for some sort of safety within the shelter.
Right. He talks about in English how much he loves money, and he really, really loves money. The only thing I love is money. And then he hugs his safe and says money. In Japanese, he doesn't say anything about money. He just says, I can't believe they don't realize I'm taking advantage of them. Like, he is much more menacing. He has ideas. I'm like, what? It's infuriating, Spencer. This is an 8 episode in Japanese. And in English, it's a filler ass 4. Anyway, after he's done hugging his safe, a character steps out, and it's General Tao from the Dragon Ball original series.
This is the first time that if you're watching Dragon Ball Z that you've seen this guy. He's also a cyborg.
Yeah, he's a cyborg now.
He's an evil guy, and he's taking money. He's getting paid by the shelter owner for protection money, basically.
Yeah, he says it'll cost you $5,000 to kill a man or to take somebody down. In Japanese, he says 50 million zeni.
Money has no
that doesn't matter.
Equivalency. It's
but
so much.
Bourbon calls him sensei a series of times, which I thought was interesting.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. He's like absolutely bowing down to this master assassin. And in Japanese, he does really stroke the master assassin's ego. Back to the hyperbolic time chamber now. We get a cut, which is, it's really interesting to see the new stuff that we have no idea about interpolated with what we're used to cutting back to.
Yeah, it's a weird filler episode because it actually works with the arc of the season.
Yeah. Yep. So
it's very confusing. But yeah, we see Piccolo in the hyperbolic time chamber
doing the dumbest training. We've decided
he's training with himself again.
The dumbest training techniques that Piccolo, like, how does he not realize this is unhelpful? But okay. All right. Sure. That's what he's doing.
He trains with he does the multiform thing.
I don't understand his logic. It doesn't make any sense, but that's what he's doing. And he's hallucinating. Cell is in the chamber with him and taunting him. It's weird. I don't know.
But it's cool to know that, like, okay, they're progressing. Piccolo's in the time chamber now. He's the first up. Like, they're making use of the time they have until the tournament.
Right.
We cut to Gohan and Lime hanging out in the forest, eating. Lime, the little girl's like, hey, you're not going to fight anybody, are you? You seem like a nice guy. And Gohan's like, I don't know, probably. And then Lime says that her grandpa, quote unquote, was a martial arts tournament master.
Yeah. He entered into the same Tenkaichi tournament that Goku was in.
Which I thought that he was going to be revealed to be Jackie Chan.
It's actually Jackie Chan in the end, like the whole, but no.
But it's Master Roshi apparently is him in the disguise. So like I thought that would have been a really cool reveal if he had been somebody that had actually existed in Dragon Ball.
Right.
But apparently this is the only episode that he's ever mentioned in, which is kind of a shame because you got General Tao coming back. I don't know. I just thought it would have been a cool duality of the old coming back.
An interesting little really? But no, it's just a retcon type.
Yeah. But he does look like Jackie Chan.
He totally does. A lot. I thought the exact same thing.
So the shelter opens officially. Gohan and Lime see this and they're like, this stupid guy, this gotta be stopped, all this slave labor and stuff. So the little girl yells out, "Cell's here," again, and it works again. Everybody gets freaked out. Owner of the shelter, the Pipsqueak, runs in the shelter. He's like, "Close the doors, everybody." And the security guards are like, "But you're the only one in here."
You're
like,
the only one that made it in. I don't care.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Just close them. So you get to see these like big, thick steel doors, like a series of 3 to 4 of them shut in sequence as they try to protect themselves from Cell. They quickly find out that they were just joking, though, and the two guards from the beginning show up with guns and aim down sights at Gohan and Lime.
Yeah,
they're like, "Come with us. You gotta explain yourself to our stupid boss."
Yeah, that's right. Which they open up all the doors again, and the boss's face is just right in the camera, pissed off. It was just some kid fucking around.
So he's like, "Hey, everybody, you work for me. You're basically my slaves. Beat up that kid. Go beat up that kid." They're like, "All right, whatever," and they start to beat up Gohan, but before they can lay a hand on him,
they try.
Yeah, the non-Jackie Chun comes out and just beats up the townsfolk, which is great.
I loved this, watching like a regular ass human guy, grandpa, who just happens to be trained, beating the shit out of these thugs, and it's really well animated too. I like this more than I like some of the other like superpower ass fights.
For sure, like it's a filler episode, but it feels, it's a nice little story. You get to know the characters decently well. Like it's nice. So Cyber Tao fights not Jackie Chun, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cyber Tao calls himself, "I'm just your friendly neighborhood killer." Like basically he's just a hired assassin.
The back of his shirt says "Kill you." God.
He's wearing this pink, ridiculous, obnoxious pink robe. And it took me a long time to figure out what the back said because I could see letters. It just says "Kill you" on it.
Yeah.
Not aisle. It's not a phone number, which would be hilarious, but it just says "Kill you."
Because he's an assassin. He's a mercenary. It's so incredibly on the fucking nose that it's amazing.
Great. So they fight for a little bit, and then Tao's like, "I got the upper hand. I'm gonna blast this old man." He does an energy blast.
Like Tao's left hand becomes a knife. Now that he's a cyborg. Like
his cyborg arms, and his right arm becomes a gun, and he shoots a giant ball of energy at this old guy.
Yeah.
Cloud of smoke rule goes both ways. Not only is the old man fine, but Gohan's now standing in front of him, all Super Saiyan. He powers up.
He says, "Okay, I'll just kill this kid. I feel like I've seen you somewhere before." And in Japanese, Gohan immediately says, "My name is Son Gohan," which tells Tao immediately, "Oh, I know you." Like, there's no back and forth. They're like, thank goodness. I thought you were someone else that I knew named Goku that I met in the tournament a long time ago. I knew this kid named Goku, and you look just like this guy named Goku. No, he just says, "I'm Son Gohan," and then he knows. That's it.
But in English, it does go back and forth for a while. But we get a little bit of a flashback to show that they've fought before, Goku and this Tao guy, before he was Cyber Tao. He's like, "Oh, crap. You're his son, huh? Well, I'm out of here." I love this part. He grabs a tree. He just kicks the tree, and it just cracks, lifts up the entire tree, hurls it into the air, jumps on it, and it just goes. And the Pipsqueak mayor is like, "You can't quit." Tao's like, "I just did."
He's flying away, which
it's beautiful.
I am not going to try and apply the rules of physics or logic to this.
It's a thing with his character, and I only know this because of Kakarot, but apparently in the original Dragon Ball show, he like took a pillar off of a building and hurled it. That's how he kind of got around. That was his Nimbus Cloud.
Right.
Essentially.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, what's his name? Bourbon goes groveling to Gohan, and Gohan blasts the dome.
Yeah, the shelter.
He just blows up the whole fucking thing, which, all right, in both English and Japanese earlier, all those thugs were stealing things from towns and bringing it into this shelter. And they even go over in both languages how, "Oh yeah, we have stored all the perishables in this area. We have all the liquid goods in this area." And Gohan just blows up the whole thing.
Well, and we saw like security guards in there earlier.
Yeah.
It's a philosophical point that he's making.
It is.
Which is, if I can destroy this, you stand no chance of safety against Cell. So he gives a pep talk. We can't fight each other. We got to come together
Oh my
in this
God.
time.
That is not what he says in Japanese. He goes, everybody, my name is Son Gohan. In 8 days, I will be in the tournament and I will defeat Cell. Don't worry.
It's perfect. That's all he needs
But
to say.
instead in English, he's totally like, yeah, we just need to band together. And tough times like these, humankind needs to get all together and be best friends. But anyway, so Goku shows up, which I really wasn't expecting Goku to show up in this episode at all.
Neither was I. Yeah.
But he flies down. He's like, hey, where you been? Where's the spices? Your mom's going to kick your ass. He's like, oh, right. Spices. That's a thing. And then they leave. They fly off together.
Yep.
And Lime says, goodbye, big brother, in Japanese. That's when I wrote fuck English. It made it count. It made it feel real. I don't know. How did you feel about the filler episode? It's been a while since we had a filler episode. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, it has been. I was fine with it. I liked how it connected to not only Dragon Ball, catching up with old characters, but also kind of moved forward the Cell Saga plot a little bit. It fit pretty well.
Yeah.
To the point where it didn't annoy me. And the characters were interesting enough. I didn't like the girl, but I did like the shopkeeper.
Yeah.
It was fine. That's where, at the beginning of this episode, my definition came from. That's the last thing I saw before we recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fresh in my mind. It was fine. It does sound better in Japanese though. Like a lot of those lines are better.
I really liked it.
I do think that in Japan, Dragon Ball Z is more of a show for adults. And when it came to America, it was marketed toward kids.
Yes.
I think that's 100% like the biggest reason for the changes.
For sure. I loved this episode, honestly, in Japanese. Like it had heart. It endeared me to the characters that I had just met. It connected directly to everything else that was happening. It didn't make a fucking buffoon of the bad guy. It made him seem like an actual threat. It brought in another character from the old show. It like this was just so many different interlocking pieces that stand in, I'm sure. Interlocking pieces that worked so well. And in English, it's just another filler episode.
Yeah, now I'm wondering what would happen if you went back and watched more episodes with the Japanese subtitles.
I wish I had more time to do it. I really do, because I probably would enjoy them more. I honestly really like these episodes. I don't know how it's going to go going forward. I really have no idea.
But we'll find out next time on Eric Hates Dragon Ball Z. Thank you for listening to Eric Hates Dragon Ball Z. It's a fun podcast made by fun people with a fun audience. So we like to thank our patrons at the end of every single episode.
Oh my God. It's the fun episode. We're cool.
If you want to become one of those patrons, consider donating to our Patreon, patreon.com/EHDBZ. There's a lot of bonus stuff in there. I'll let you go check it out for yourself. And we're forcing Eric and John to watch and review stuff that they hate, which is fun for me because I don't really have any consequence. The higher, more Patreon money we get, the more they have to do and the less that I
don't know.
So.
Eric and I were having a discussion about this, and we found some things that you do not like.
Which is currently not on the Patreon. So, thank you to our wonderful patrons, Jeff Grimm, Hearst Ran Out of Gas, Spencer Feuerstein, Dan, Felix Rodriguez. I don't know if I should say.
I don't know. We just keep coming up with that. Like, do we say Felix's last name? We have no problem saying Dan's last name.
Mackie DeMo and Axel. You guys are freaking awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I don't know. We got a Patreon. Sorry. We got a Twitter.
Oh my God.
We got a Twitter, twitter.com/EricHatesDBZ, where you can find a bunch of fun social posts every day of the week, pretty much. If you want to interact with us there, you can. You feel free to email us at mail@ehdbz.com. You can also find our website at ehdbz.com, which is brand new, part of the Rocktopus network of podcasts. You can check out some of our other fun podcasts like Halloween Nation. If you like spooks, ghouls, goblins, or anything else that goes bump in the night, check out that new podcast by our very own Joshua from the Tales of Nora podcast and his new co-host Leah. They make a wonderful team, very fun to listen to, and they talk about everything Halloween. It's a monthly podcast. First episode is up now. That podcast is called Halloween Nation.
Spooky.
You can definitely find it on Spotify.
I did not personally enjoy hearing about the place where I live is haunted. I love the podcast itself, but now I don't sleep.
So if you don't want to sleep...
Yeah, or if you want to know the town in which I live, I guess, because I just gave that shit away.
Check it out. Yeah.
If you're a fan of our podcast, we also have a Patreon. This is the part where we need to come up with a pun, though, right? This is the end.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever gonna top Eric's selling it. Like that was so off the cuff, and it was so good. And how did we not know?
Yeah. How on earth are we going to top the last one?
Oh my God! Tell me you were not lying. I was supposed to be lying. I hope that came across.
No, I got it.
Stretch.
I got it. 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 I got it.